Hey everybody, it's your pal Drew Racy, and I got a good one for you. Well, theoretically, all my episodes are good. I would like to think so. I'm really enjoying finding these things that I don't think a lot of other people cover. If you like what I have, please hit like and please hit subscribe. And then after you hit the word subscribe, you'll see a bell, black bell. You hit that for the notifications. And also, if you have suggestions for future episodes, by all means, throw comments down below. And I'd appreciate it if you'd spread the word on this, because I have to reread these comics, make sure I get my points that I'm accurate in my statements. So, anyway, this was the very last issue of Daredevil that had co-starring the deadly Black Widow. They were a team since issue 81, I think it was. Yeah, double-sized issue. And at this point in recent issues, Daredevil was sort of using... He considered her a damsel in distress when she didn't need to be sometimes, and she said, maybe I'll come back, but only as an equal, and so she just went off on her own way, and then she joined the Champions a few months after that. There's a whole episode on that. So Copperhead, I love this character. Marv Wolfman has said that he never liked his tenure writing Daredevil, and I can't figure out why, because it's some of the best Bronze Age Daredevil ever. His plotting is great. Sometimes the dialogue is a little too cutesy, but I loved it when he took over. So Tony Isabella did a great job, and Steve Gerber's was sort of uneven, but he was a new kid in town. Okay, well, let's open the friggin' book, Drew. Okay, now, we have Len Wein. He wrote the first half of the book. Marv wrote the second half of the book. And I'm assuming Marv was, it was a transition, I guess, Gene Colan, who would periodically return to Daredevil, which it was always a thrill for me. Even in later issues, like in the 90s, he did some really wild, sloppy art, but his stuff was so, is it expressionistic or impressionistic? I can't remember. Klaus Janson is the inker, and Michelle Wolfman is the colorist. I've mentioned before how spouses of some of the creators also did a lot of the production work. Beautiful, beautiful work. Colan and Jansen are just amazing. They really are. Well, so they're saying their goodbyes, and he senses trouble. He senses a crowd forming. Go on, get out of here, you voyeurs. Go home and watch Kojak or something. Just leave us alone. And how about that fade? The eyelashes and the hair. She's covering a recent issue of Marvel 2-in-1, and I love that, man. I miss continuity like that. The Marvel Universe is only 13, 14 years old, but, so you can still sort of do that. Well, she takes off. I'm really dragging ass on this. I should speed it up a little. Well, anyway, there's this purse snatcher, and he decides to sneak away, but he meets this guy in the trench coat who is the copper. Wait, there. It glints copper in the streetlight. You have stolen Chesterchino, committed a crime, thus you owe a debt to society, a debt that shall be collected by the Copperhead. I'm not going to do the shall and all that, because it'll get real annoying really fast to hear it. So he blows this guy away, very an extremist and way of handling things, but the woman says, "Hell, police murder!" So the cop tries to stop her. He uses, I think he uses darts. Yeah, he uses the darts to sleep on the lawman, and he puts pennies in the guy's eyes. It's such a great trait. That's the first time I ever heard of something like that. And then we have the subplots, and they lead into future stories, and you're not going to see a lot of smarmy sarcasm. This is storytelling 101. It's not going to be goofing on other people's, or, well, it's just a thing, blah, blah, blah. It's not going to be like insipid, I don't know, cutesy dialogue. It's going to be about what's going on. And Foggy's trying to get reelected as DA. So, anyway. Daredevil's going to do some investigating. And he hears, he stops at an old smelly bookstore, the best kind of all. Toss that poor shopkeeper quite a story. Explain why a blind man would want to buy an old book. But nothing matters now that I've got this. He says, something about these murders stirred some cobwebs in my mind. I remember my dad telling me that the Copperhead, a 30s pulp hero, who some say was almost as popular as Doc Savage. So, of course, you have like that. If you think that's unabashed plug, Marvel, newest black and white thriller, it's just so funny. I love it. I did that. So he's reading with his fingers, and apparently the origin of the Copperhead, the pulp hero, just a story, just a character. He was a playboy. He had a woman on each arm. Some guy threw acid in his face. Almost killed him, but Copperhead was bitter with revenge. And that design is just amazing. I don't know if... I have to look up who designed it. If it was Gene, if it was, John Romita or whatever. But this is really like Gene Colan's strong suit. His milieu, his métier, his, So, Daredevil gets dressed up. Now, my only problem was, I know Stan had heroes with problems in the thought balloons, but my hang-up with Marv on this is it comes off as whiny, not just complaining. This may be exactly what I need to get my mind off Natasha. Great. I need something like mass murder to make me forget my love life. You're really callous, Mr. Bardock. Anybody tell you that? Lives don't mean anything to you, do they? All you're looking for is escape from reality. Blah, 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 blah. I don't think this carefree superhero would accept something as depressing as that. La, 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 la. He's like, and maybe just in time, he'll find the time to help himself as well, but don't count on it. I'm like, okay. Stop with the sniveling. So he goes to an apartment. I love that woman. It's like, looks kind of like my grandma, except my grandma was prettier, I think. But I mean, it's like you had a lot of old world grandmas who lived in a house, did cooking and all kinds of stuff, and the house always smelled like food, just wonderful. Anyway, Daredevil says, I'm looking for Walter Krantz, the writer. I understand he lives here. Lived. Big shot. He croaked about a week back, murdered, the cop said. And he owed me a month's rent. Cheapskate. And Dean Mullaney of Eclipse Comics writes a letter. Whoa! Yeah, who later on, him and Jan Delaney and Dean Delaney, yes, they're named after the Jan and Dean. They became head honchos at Eclipse Comics in the 80s. Well, there he is. I have a hunch I'd want to shoot myself. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay. Bad luck, Schleprock. Now this is a great device. This is one of the things that Neil Adams pioneered, where if you're not being a literalist about these images, like the guy's throwing a knife, it gets knocked out, bounced off the wall, but Daredevil's in the foreground. So that's just a great effect. It smacks, and then like a second later, it's from a different angle, and then from a third panel, it's a totally different angle. I mean, that's brilliant shit. That's just really amazing. Oh, by the way, Klaus Janson kicking ass on the colors. Oh, no. Michelle Wolfman. She's doing a great job on the colors. And Glennis Wine, who was Len Wine's wife, I don't know if they stay together or divorced or whatever. She was awesome. I loved her stuff. And she colored all the way up to like the late 80s. So he keeps beating on Copperhead, but he's made out of copper. So how about that? Wow. Don't dare miss it. Now, if you have that, why would you miss it? It's just so friggin' amazing. And then we get treated to another Gil Kane cover. I think it's Klaus Janson. I think it's Tom Palmer, but I'm leaning towards Klaus. And look at the rain. It's really dramatic. I love the colors. It's well balanced. And now we're back to Bob Brown, the much maligned Bob Brown. He was great on Daredevil. I know there's a ton of hate for Bob Brown. Okay, he usually got inked pretty damn poorly. When he did Avengers Defenders War, his part of the Avengers, he had crappy inkers, and it made his stuff just look really blech. And then he did the Beast, but he did 2 issues of the Beast that just really, I think he couldn't get a feel for it. But when he got on Daredevil for several years, that was his. It's just something, snapped where it really worked out. So he puts the pennies on his eyes, Daryl's eyes. And that's such a great gimmick. I would love to read a Pulp novel based on this character, but I don't think Marvel would do that. I don't think there's much demand for it, but it's a great, well, anyway, what happened is, Dee Dee, old buddy, go home for the night and thank your lucky stars that your trusty radar sense picked up the Copperhead's pulling of the trigger and that your hands are faster than his eyes. So I guess he went, psh, 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 blocked it. He's taking off. Now look at that. Bob Brown kicking major ass on the art. This price of fame. Fame, that and 30 cents will get you just about buy me a subway ride these days, but don't count on it. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, stop whining. Just tell the story. I mean, you can whine once or twice, but this is where it gets a little kooky. But he also kind of document dumps while he's swinging. This is amazing stuff. Look, he's swinging in order, and he lands. It all follows through. That is gutsy storytelling. That is brilliant. So he's telling he's filling in everybody with exposition, but at the end he's like, problems are like bananas, Hornhead. They come in bunches. I was like, yeah. Damn, I love that page. So, I mean, this is back when stories had like a meaty plot device in the background, subplots, and it wasn't just insipid like twee type writing. The adjustments will soon be done. Okay, I'm not going to continue with that. Well, he goes into this one guy. Basically, what happened is he's going to the publisher of the Copperhead novels from the 30s, and the guy has reprinted them, and they've taken off really well. So Copperhead demands that this guy stop because he was the Copperhead. Anyway, Zilch, this old pulp's filled with razzle-dazzle, blood, and thunder. A few interesting gimmicks, but nothing I don't really know. The original Copperhead wasn't a maniacal killer. He only killed in self-defense. But my guy's a grade A loony. Look, I'm not getting any worse. Say around here. It's traveling time. That anatomy. Look at that. Double lighting. The famous Klaus Janson double lighting. Because he's also the colorist. It's funny. Artists, colorists, fun stuff. That's just beautiful. So he takes a bow because the cops are like, we don't need you around here. And I'm like, okay, I know when I'm not wanted. So he goes into the publisher's house, thousands of books. And he's looking for, apparently this guy was very, very thorough. He was like he kept notes on everything. And that I love that look, the use of the radar sense. It's just different. It's not too showy. Bingo, a safe behind cover painting. And he uses his ears to open the safe, listening to the tumblers clicking in place. That's a great thing. I told you, Marv Wolfman's a great writer, and yet he like dismisses that era. There's the diary, yada yada yada. and he decides to visit the grave of the guy who created the Copperhead, and he's like, it was just a long shot. And we get, Dee Dee, you're an A1 classified jerk. They say none are so blind. Well, Bonehead, you've proven it this time. I'm like, give yourself a break. Get in a bubble bath. Turn on some, get some, get some potpourri going. Mellow out with some herbal tea. Well, Foster, you've made a fortune using the Copperhead name, a fortune that does not belong to you. Relinquish your number, your money, and I will spare you. Resist, and you will die. Walter Krantz died when he refused to pay me. He said he never made money writing my adventures. Did he really expect that the Copperhead was a fool? Naturally, I killed him. But when I approached Wexler more than a week ago for his share, he too refused me, and now he is dead as well. Finally, you, Martin Foster, you are making money using my name. You are republishing my old adventures, repackaging them as paperback books. I now give you my offer. Share your money with me. Give me what is rightfully mine. Cooperate and live. Refuse and die. You're a walking lunatic. You know that? The Copperhead's a character. Total fiction. He never existed. Go play your idiot games elsewhere. I'm not an idiot. You leave me no choice. Bang. Sorry to spoil your fun, gorgeous, but here comes the cavalry. Another to be pro, Bob Rohde, who I think later went by Rob Rohde, who was a writer and an editor, and I can't remember where, but I know the name. Really great storytelling, great follow-through with the action. So he takes off the jacket, and then we see this really cool, modern, kick-ass Copperhead uniform. Again, the color. See the last panel there where the Copperhead is usually a shiny yellow, but the light is on Daredevil and it's not on him. And the follow-throughs, like he kicks, they follow through. It's like he's not going clear across the room. And that's amazing there. And that's sort of, Bob Brown kind of got me into Daredevil. Him and Gene Colan. Okay. And the joke he always says is, I've said it once, I've said it all. If I could see half the things I do, I'd be scared to death. Now that goes back to his, his moniker of, or his tagline, the man without fear. And previously I talked about Green Lantern, how he was supposed to be a fearless pilot. And that struck me as a little too over the top. But I think the way Daredevil says it is, it's more like a tagline. It's more just like a, and he does got a lot of balls. Only one more, Father. Only one more must die before the Copperhead can rest again. Only one more, and I will carry out your revenge as you wished me to. Sorry, handsome, but no one dies anymore. Not by your hands. Understand? Lawrence Chesney? No time for small talk, Chesney. It's all rushed to a head now. For you and for your father's revenge. You never questioned your father, did you, Chesney? You always believed him when he said he was a real Copperhead, didn't you? You were warped by your father's insanity, understand? Oh, beautiful panel. He wasn't a hero. He was an artist model. He posed as Copperhead for all the magazine covers. For 20 years, he played the fictional role for artists, and it seems he played it so long, so well, that is when his publisher canceled the series, your father went berserk. Wexler's diary stated that Chesney went insane, threatening to kill Wexler because he thought Wexler made a fortune from his father's fame. He's like, enough of this, I won't hear this. And it's not good to wear copper when there's lightning out. So, it's almost humorous. I'm blind. I never knew they had reissued the old pulps as paperbacks. If you hadn't mentioned them, you may have escaped me, because I'd never have known to check the paperback publisher's office. And it's almost funny in a twisted way. Perfect two-parter. Two-parters rule. Done in one are good, but there was a time in the mid-'70s when the Hulk had a lot of two-parters. And so we're jumping ahead about 3 years to the Human Fly. I got all the issues. I've never seen him on TV. He's a Canadian Daredevil, or he was. And, back, in the 70s or whatever, there was no TV Guide was a mess half the time. You couldn't find shows you wanted to find. It was a hassle, but I love that costume design. The real costume that I've seen in the clips on YouTube is not that impressive, but it is a great design nonetheless. I just love it. It's just, and there's Copperhead. It looks like a Frank Joy. I don't know who's inking Frank Robbins on this cover, but Robbins didn't do a lot of covers. So it's inked by Tony. I can't think of his name. Tony DeZuniga. Whoa! I had a hiccup there. Tony DeZuniga and the New York Tribe. So it's a bit wonky, but the premise is that Human Fly does a lot of these tricks for benefit. You know, the ticket sales go right to charities. And I love that. And I think he did that in real life. I don't know about all the whole story, but Bill Mantlo, being the genius he is with licensed properties, he created this whole group of characters that will, complete a story. It's not just a Human Fly wandering aimlessly. And there's the original White Tiger, designed by George Perez. I think Bill Mantlo also created him. This guy gets pennies on his eyes. And what I like is she works for the Human Fly, and they're like super tight with the Human Fly. And this woman here is the nosy reporter who wants to know who the Human Fly really is and why does he do these things. Oh yeah, right. He's just being good to the kids. But nope. She comes around though, which is pretty cool. It's a good character arc. So they hear shots. Human Fly takes off with a skateboard. And is there another famous writer here? Oh, anyway. So he skates around. White Tiger checks in there, and they sandwich him there. I love that. I love that angle. Poor much maligned Frank Robbins. But yeah, I bought this every issue. It was mostly Frank Robbins, and then at the very end, the last 4 issues were like Bob Lubers, who was a artist of the 50s, and he was really super great. He had not lost any of his skill. It really sharpened up the book. I think if it had stayed a little longer, it might have caught on. So anyway, this big urn gets flooded. It's like a fanciful urn. It's some kind of art piece that was made from hundreds of years ago. Daredevil makes 3. Now brace yourself, everybody. Hang in there. Kind of a heartbreaker. John Byrne and Terry Austin do the cover only. What could have been. Boy, I would have loved that. And yeah, there we go. Oh my God, I love that. I mean, I did like the book, but when you see something like that, it's such a horrible tease because he was just kicking it hard. Well, this was a Pizzazz magazine that they put out. It was kind of like Bananas and Dynamite done Marvel style. It didn't last long. Well, anyway, Human Fly is helping everybody from drowning. And again, the coat gets shot off, and he's just kind of beating the tar out of everybody. And then they end up using it as a boat. And Daredevil's in there. And I love it, because you got... It's just a great visual. Well, anyway, everyone's trying to fight the... White Tiger takes on Copperhead, puts him in the drink. What blazes are you? And then Daredevil shows up to rescue the Fly because he's surrounded by guys with guns above him. I love it. Red costume, white costume, red and white costume. Ugh. The visual's so cool, man. I thought like a kid. Oh, man, that's so cool. One of the phrases I used back then that was really annoying, I think everybody in my family was, I'd be like, decent, man. That's really decent. Am I the only one who said that? I don't know. I must have picked it up somewhere. But boy, oh boy, I was obnoxious at the time. Decent. So looks like he's going to gore this guy, but he ends up in the zoo. So now we find out that the new Copperhead is not an Avenger of any sort. He is a petty thief. And now here comes the exposition. I know who Copperhead really is. Yes, Senorita Mercado. I am Reynolds, your former employee. Now, if you got a time, make yourself comfortable and sit down while I tell you my story. For years, I worked meekly in the shadows of others, a master craftsman, at restoring priceless works of art, yet younger, inexperienced nobodies were advanced over me. I can relate to that. But I painlessly worked on the great urn. I was unaware of the dark secrets of one of my co-workers. I'm going to try and get this. Okay, everybody. Until the worker's death when he was released as Copperhead. The same Lawrence Chesney who worked side by side with me in the museum, a psychotic killer. Chesney may have been mad, seeking revenge against thousands, blah, 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 blah. But he basically broke into that guy's house before the cops could come. I guess get a search warrant. And so as Copperhead, Wiley dared not deny me the money I needed to carry out my plans because he found out about it. It's so involved. Anyway, all we know is he's a full-on bad guy. Beautiful stuff, beautiful stuff. Damn, that was a great costume. When she was in Avengers in the 70s, it was a great... she was a great Avenger. She was just someone really interesting. Human Fly bonks him on the head. White Tiger assists. And he doesn't come up. But then, you know how it is with Marvel or movies or anything entertainment. If there's no body, then they're not dead. So, well, I'll start an all-point search for Copperhead as soon as... I don't think La Senorita is listening, amigo. Senor Fly, on behalf of the museum, the children, and myself, thank you. I love that. His eyes kind of go. It's just sweet. So that's it, the Copperhead, man. Let's, man, I would love to see somebody do, it'd have to be a Marvel, do a Copperhead, you know, a paper. I mean, Chuck Dixon would probably be great for that. And or else, a couple other friends of mine, that, you know, are very prolific novel writers. Well, there's Mike Barron, and there's Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash is a machine. He does novels, he does comics, and I know he would really sink his teeth into this and enjoy it. But I think Marvel wouldn't see the money in it. You know, I think they'd be kind of like, no. So, what are you gonna do? We still have these issues. Copperhead may have returned later on because you kind of have to keep the copyright or the trademark and such. Well, that's it. I just wanted to share this, and it's been fun. And have yourself a good weekend. Bye.